I have auditioned for many parts, but for the Think Fest, the auditioning happened and I was passed by Shoma straight away when I said, Udi Baba, I'm Mohabbat Man. So this guy is smart. We have to get him for Think. So thank you very much, Shoma. Thank you, Taran. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, everybody who's involved with this. And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's start. Shahruk,
okay, so before I start, so because I was told, one of my friends, Sanjoy, my oldest friend, oldest in terms of years that I've known him, he's told me this is like an intelligent gathering. And
so you actually prepped for it. I was aghast when Shahruk's colleague called me and said, Shahruk wants to know what you're going to talk about. Are there any questions? And I was like, Shahruk's asking for questions, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I've become careful now because you never know what the hell I might write about you. You know, these... I'm scared now, yeah. I'm a little scared of what I say. So I have written something. Is it okay to read it out? Or?
Yeah, but can we do the conversation? Did you bring your book? I just wanted to...
That's why I don't go to any place where stars are considered less than the anchors. I'm telling you, Shama, this is... But I'm here now, so I'll allow you, okay.
Yeah. Shahruk, you know, when I asked you to come here, I told you that the really unique experience that I wanted our audience to have is that Shahruk is in the process of writing his memoir and his autobiography. And about 2 years ago, we met and he shared some snatches of that with me. And they were incredibly moving. They were an aspect of Shahruk that you don't really get to see very often. And that is the framework of our conversation today, you know, the public and private journey of this dream catcher. And that's how I'd like to enter the conversation with you, Shahruk. You know, the piece you read to me was about your parents. Both of them have been very seminal in who you are today, and yet they were both very different people. Your father was a freedom fighter, he was an idealist, you know, very accomplished man, but a poor man. And your mother was much more of a pragmatist. You know, can you talk to us about what they meant in your life and how they've influenced you in different ways?
Yeah, my father, in the book that I'm still writing, which has been now, you know, I decided to write the book when I thought I will last. After 4 or 5 years into the film industry, I started believing that I will last for 10 years. And I wrote a book, the title was 20 Years of a Decade, because I felt I've crammed in 20 years into the 10 years. I'm a little tardy with it. I still haven't finished it. Now it's 22 years that I've been working. The book is still not complete. And, you know, when in the book, the chapter that I made Shoma read, the main, how do you say, the exposure of my inner self is that I think my father was the most successful failure in the world. And I'm very, very proud of him. And I remember him as a very gentle person, 6 feet tall, very Pathan, grey eyes, brown hair, very handsome. I also remember the first time I went to Peshawar with him. You know, the whole family was over 6 feet 2 inches, very fair, very beautiful. And I remember the whole family met me first time, and I was about 14, and they speak Hindko there, like Punjabi. And they looked at me and said, Innu ki ho gaya? Ete Pathan lagda hi nahi hai. You know, so I'm that kind of Pathan. And he taught me a lot of things. He died when I was 15. And as years are going by, I remember things that he's told me. I remember he took me out for a movie. Never told me we belong to a place where, you know, in terms of finances, lower middle class, or however it's described, we didn't have the money. We used to travel in buses, 501, 502, 501, 502, Delhi wali 510. And he took me and he didn't tell me money's run out. So he made me sit in there used to be a roundabout near Kamani Auditorium. And we bought moongfali. And he said, यहाँ बैठेंगे और गाड़ियों को, he used to also speak a little bit of Punjabi. He said, यारा, गाड़ियों को आगे पीछे जाते देखेंगे, सबसे अच्छा होता है ये. And he never told me. My mom, who was Hyderabadi and a little more pragmatic, as you said, and a little more talkative and loud, she said, तुमको बुद्धू बनाए हो ना, जाके वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं, पैसे नहीं थे तो इसलिए तुम्हें गाड़ियाँ दिखाकर वापस लेकर आ गए. So my mother was extremely, I think after he died, she kind of dedicated her life to look after us. And the essence of both my parents was that they didn't know what we'd become. My father was a non-practicing lawyer because he said he can't lie. So sorry if there are some lawyers here. But he said, main nahi karunga. He was the youngest freedom fighter of this country in terms of age. And my mother was a magistrate, but she was like a go-getter and, you know, very enthusiastic. And after he died, she carried on the dream my father had that we should make sure that children are well educated. If they get educated, life will be okay for them. Of course, I wasted all my education. I've done sciences, then economics, and then masters in mass communication, and I became a film star. So it's kind of doesn't come handy when you're doing "You Are My Chammak Challo." And that's it. So I remember them. I think I've imbibed the fear of failure that I saw my father go through. And I didn't want to fail like him. I want to take my son out. If I promise him for a movie, I want to show him a movie, not the cars around a roundabout. Though that was fun too. And the enthusiasm and the energy that my mother had to earn money so that, she could look after us and educate us. They both died, I think, between the ages of 49 and 50. I just turned 47 day before yesterday, so it's a little scary thought. But it was an education which makes me a very pragmatic, practical poet, I think. Yeah, it makes me a very commercial poet, I think. It makes me someone who has dreams like my father did, someone who's as gentle as I am, notwithstanding the Mumbai Cricket Association incident.
We'll come to that.
Yeah. So I'm a believer. I'm a little idealistic and utopian and thoughtful and gentle like my dad. But I want to do all those thinking and write all those poems with a stomach full of food and have a good car and a good house. So I don't deride myself or deprecate myself when I say I'm kind of capitalist. It is just that I am a survivor who wants to live well and think well. And I think all youngsters should believe that. If you isolate one of them, I've been hearing amazing amount of dedicated work from some of the people, extremely educated and highly positioned jobs, leaving everything and looking after a cause which is close to their hearts. I would like to do that. But being from the place I believe, which is kind of honest, I like to do it with the money that I earn from this capitalist, this in-your-face business-like job that I do. So I want to, I imbibe, I think, both the things that my mom and dad taught, and I still miss them a lot.
Yeah, in fact, Shahruk, he used to run a tea canteen behind NSD, and you were thrown out of your house once because they couldn't pay the rent.
Are you going to tell everything about me? This is a Tehelka expose, this is a sting operation here.
No, this is stuff you've told me.
Okay.
And not with any privacy clauses. Okay. But, in fact, in an interview some years back, and why I'm asking you all this is because it's very much the man you are, and, some of that comes through in the tweets that you do at 3 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock at night, not when you meet you on the stage or on the cinema screen. And you said that your sister, your mother died in very difficult circumstances, and you said your sister also is a kind of daily reminder that you cannot have the life that your father has, your father lived and your father had. Can you share that with us, what really happened? Because a lot of that went into making you the kind of superstar that you are.
Yeah, my father died of cancer, throat and liver. It started with throat, and I remember the last few days, he couldn't speak. So we used to play dumb charades, and, we used to kind of, he used to write stuff, then he couldn't write stuff, so he would say, call, little, and then brother or sister. So I remember this was at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Safdarjung Hospital, and he obviously, like any father, was in love with his daughter, and she was very beautiful. Everyone used to think she looked like Jane Fonda. Meri puri family bahut sundar hai. Just to let you know. So she was extremely beautiful, and when my father died, I remember he was getting well. Then I went to the hospital one night, and he was dead and cold. His feet were very cold. So I touched his feet, and he was very peaceful and dead, and not look like the handsome Pathan he was. It's very thin. And I had never driven a car. I was 15, and I remember my mom and me sat in the car to get back home. Our driver, who had waited all night, couldn't wait any longer, had left the car abandoned in front of the main road. And I sat in the car and drove back, and I do remember my mother, when we reached home, she said, "Tumhane gaadi chalana kaise seekha?" And I said, "Kab seekha?" And I said, "Just now." And I was driving a car. I came home. My sister was in Lady Shriram College, and we didn't tell her that our father has passed away. So I went, I got her, and I remember this, and because I'm a soul-selling commercial actor, one day I will use this in a film also, shamelessly. But 99% of the things that I use so shamelessly in films is an experience which is very close to my heart. And somehow, life has taught me it's all right to show the innermost of my feelings in the commercial sense. Not to earn money, but just, it's okay. It's one life. So I will use this. I remember my sister standing in front of my father's Parthiv Sharif bolte na Hindi mein, dead body, and she just looked. She didn't cry. She didn't say anything. She just fell. And she hit her head on the ground. And for 2 years after that, she didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just kept looking in space. And it just changed her world. Mashallah, now she's better. She got some deficiencies. During the making of my film Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, she again was hospitalized and they said she will not survive. I took her to Switzerland, got her treated there while I was shooting Tujhe Dekha To Ye Jana Sanam. And, but she hasn't ever recovered from the loss of her father, the suddenness of him passing away. And then it got compounded because my mother also expired 10 years later. So we are what in Muslims is called yatim and yasir, father and motherless. And when I see her, especially the time period from my father's death to my mother's death, she was highly qualified. She has done MA LLB, very intelligent, like my parents wanted her to be. But she could not face the reality of losing her parents. And I somehow developed this sense of detachment, this sense of false bravado, which I show in public, a sense of humor, and a lot of things that I do which people think is flamboyant and very Bollywood-like, to cover up this sadness affecting my life and me becoming like my sister. I love my sister how she is. She's a much better person than I can ever be. I think she's a child of God and very naive and innocent. My kids love her more than they love me and my wife. And I'm very glad she's a part of our lives like this. But I don't have the guts to be so simple, so hurt, so disturbed. So a part of me keeps on working round the clock, keeps on being happy in spite of things which are said about me, or make a joke about things that I do, but still keep doing them. Because if I did not do it, I think I would be in the same state of potassium deficiency and depression. So to avoid depression, I act. It's much larger than to earn money or be a big star or do endorsements or dance at weddings, which I joke about. And this is the God's honest truth. I think this is the most honest I've ever been in my life to anyone.